Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I hope you all are doing well. Today I came here with another video that is related to the novel A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man by Joyce. Previously I had delivered so many lectures regarding to this novel. Today I am going to refresh this novel by narrating some of its topics that are relevant to my previous lectures. If you have attended them focusedly, then you may not feel any burden, or you may not feel any burdenization in your mind and head. So without wasting your time, now let us jump into the main topic that is related with this novel. So Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The young man eventually became an artist in James Joyce's first novel. A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man is the Irish-born Stephen Douglas, set at the turn of the 20th century. The novel charts Stephen's preschool experience to his university years, from an individual at the mercy of events to a person in control of them and himself. Childhood and school years. A portrait devotes the equivalent of only one page to Stephen's preschool years. The passage contains simple, mild-like sentences, skipping from subject to subject like a child's attention diverted from object to object. In this short passage, Joyce alludes on one level to Stephen's cultural, political, and familial influences, on another to Stephen's primal joys and fears, and finally to figures of theme and image recurring throughout the book. From here, the reader is catapulted several years into the future to the time when Stephen is a young man away at Longos, a Jesuit boarding school. The bulk of this first chapter is devoted to Stephen's development from a fearful and confused boy, twice knocked down by other boys, into a brave, confident student, successfully protesting to the rector that he, Stephen, has been unfairly beaten on his palms by a prefect. The school year is also broken up by Stephen's visit home for Christmas. A sole event from the vacation is imported. A religious dispute at the family's lavish Christmas dinner. Our participants are Catholics who favor Ireland independent from British, but while three men object to the church's participation in politics. One woman, Dante, believes religious involvement is righteous and that the church must be followed and respected in all matters. By the end of the chapter 1, the reader gleans an early version of Stephen's portrait. He is an Irish Catholic boy confused about language, politics, and religion. He stumbles and falls through childhood, then picks himself up and stands tall before authority, his peers, and himself. The girl with the shawl. Home in Black Rock for the summer, playing, reading, and daydreaming. And Stephen increasingly views himself as different from others, so that his family fortunes plummet, only worsens matter. Forced to pack up and move with his family to Dublin, Stephen walks around the city, young, foolish, and no longer rich. After a party, he walks with an unnamed girl, wearing a shawl to the streetcar. The event passes by without even a kiss. Yet the memory remains with Stephen throughout the book. In Stephen's second year at the Dublin Jesuit School Belvedere, he performs in a school production as a girl with a shawl. Watches His post-performance euphoria is overwhelming, and only after running into town and to the stables can the smell of urine and rotting hay bring him back to earth. Later, Stephen rides with his father to Cork for an auction of his father's family property, listening to his father's advice and recalling childhood memories and things old acquaintances said about his father. Stephen is struck dumb at the distance between himself and his father, between himself and his surroundings, and between his present self and his childhood. Stephen feels that he never had with his father, did neither a boyhood of rude male health nor filial piety. He views himself as cold, detached from life, and lustful, drifting like the barren shell of the moon. In the final segment of chapter 2, Stephen wins money from an easy contest and tries through gifts and loans to reconnect himself with loved ones. The scheme fails, however, and Stephen feels even more morosely detached and lustful. One night, looking for connection, he wanders the more hellish and grimy street of Dublin and has sex with a prostitute. Stephen sins. Stephen Waring lies uncomfortably on his mind. At the beginning of chapter 3, he feels guilty while remaining convinced of his apartness from others. Stephen is not yet ready to detach himself from the church, especially from the Virgin Mary, a figure he sees as compassionate. At a Catholic retreat for St. Francis Xavier, students are asked to dwell on last things, death, judgment, heaven, and hell. After attending sermons on the physical and mental torments of hell, Stephen emerges physically shaken. That evening, he awakes from a nightmare and vomits. Finally, convinced of the enormity of his sin, Stephen confesses, is relieved, and feels himself joyfully connected with all life, from the muddy Dublin streets to a plate full of sausages. The next morning, fully confessed and kneeling at Mass, Stephen readies himself to be reborn. Chapter 4 opens with Stephen's immersion in the rituals of devotion and flesh mortifications. He begins to doubt his devotion and humility, and is only able to keep his doubts at bay by telling himself that at least he has amended his life. Stephen's display of piety is not lost on the director of Belvedere, who asked Stephen to become a Jesuit priest. Realizing he cannot lead a cloistered life, Stephen arrives home to find that his family will once again be moving, presumably because they are unable to pay the rent. Next, Stephen is shown agitatedly waiting outside the university, while his father likely attends to business connected with Stephen's admission. No longer able to wait, Stephen walks to the beach and reflects that within him art, not and sensuality are gradually overshadowing religion. These a sense now of Stephen's increasing isolation amid a sea of humanity. The final chapter, leaving family and religion behind him, Stephen thinking about his courses, classmates, and his increasing poverty at the university. He casually discusses beauty with a dream, attends physics class, and finally meets friends for a political gathering. At the meeting, he refuses to sign a declaration for world peace, perhaps because he suspects the emptiness of the gesture and disrespects the classmates who supports it, and further because over the declaration there is a framed picture of the Russian Caesar, a figure Stephen dislikes. Stephen's political independence is driven home in the conversation, in which he expresses his distaste for Irish nationalism. Walking out on politics and into another discussion about beauty and art, Stephen later writes a poem to the shawled girl of 10 years ago. One evening he stands watching migrating birds over the library, foretelling of his eventual departure from Ireland. Finally, walking and talking with a friend, Stephen declares a distance from family nationality. So now I am going to discuss its synopsis, the gist of the novel. Okay, now let us start from chapter 1. Stephen Dedalus was the son of Simon Dedalus and May Dedalus. His father related to him a story about a cow which was moving down the road. There are also some other memories of childhood which flit through Stephen's mind. Stephen joined Longwood College. It was a residential school. Although known as a college, Stephen was pushed into a ditch of dirty water by one of the classmates named Wells. He caught a cold and was sent to the school infirmary. He felt extremely miserable and depressed there. He came home during the Christmas holidays. He remembers the eventful dispute arose among some of the guests on the subject of the Irish patriot. Partner Mrs. Riordan took offense and marched out of the room. Stephen also remembers how he used to think about the girl Eileen. His glasses were broken, so he could not do classwork along with the other students. Father Dolan, the prefect of the studies, gave him physical punishment unjustly. Stephen went to complain to the rector, who did not attach much importance to the incident, though he did offer sympathy to Stephen. Now, chapter 2. By this time, Stephen has left Clongowes and joined Belvedere College, which also was really a school. At this stage of his life, Uncle Charles was the constant companion of Stephen. When he came home during the vacation, Stephen took a lot of interest in books now. The fortunes of the family worsened and he could not be sent back to the earlier school since it was an expensive one. He began to dream about an imaginary girl. At the new school, Stephen began to behave as a superior person. Once a teacher reprimanded him for writing heretical sentiments in an essay. Unfortunately, some of his class fellows also took offense with him and beat him severely. At the school play, Stephen's mind wandered to the thoughts of the girl about whom he used to dream. He did not like the role which was assigned to him in the play. His father took him along when he went on a journey. Stephen did not like the visit because his father tired him with constant references to his own boyhood. Stephen won a prize at an essay contest and gave a nice treat to the whole family. Once, when he was roaming in the part of the city where there were brothels, he was invited by a girl who gave him his first sexual experience. Now, chapter 3. Stephen felt guilty about his experiences of sex with a prostitute. This happened when a retreat was being observed in the school and the master delivered sermons about hell and damnation. He vividly pictured to the listeners the terrors and anguish of hell. He told them that the tortures of hell were infinite. These lectures greatly terrified Stephen. He approached a kindly priest and made a full confession to him, which seemed to greatly relieve his mind. The next day he received Holy Communion and decided to turn over a new leaf. Now, chapter number 4. But as soon as I begin this chapter, I would like to request from all of you who are listening to me now to subscribe my channel and like my videos as well, to give me a kind of motivation that I would record and then deliver more lectures on different novels that are including in your syllabuses that are very important and crucial for not only competitive exams such as Punjab Public Service Commission are such as Sindh Public Service Commission are exams like that. These lectures are not only crucial for understanding English literature, but also give you a point, also give you a motivation to speak before the interviewers wherever you are, to speak very confidently. Secondly, these lectures are also very important. Once you listen to them, then you feel a kind of confidence in yourself, in your inner part, that your most of the pronunciation of different words, that I am repeating those words while reading and recording such lectures in this very particular novel. So you may feel confident that your most of the pronunciation of different words is improved now. My aim is not only to convey this literature in front of you, but my aim is not to improve your grammatical mistake, but also to your pronunciation of different words as well. So in this regard, I would like to request from you people to subscribe my channel and like my videos as well. So let us discuss without wasting more time chapter number 4. Stephen now became intensely pious. It seemed to him that the routine of prayers, piety and self-control had enabled him to master himself. Yet the temptations of a sinful life still held their attractions for him, and he was afraid that he might yield to them once again. Stephen's piety was especially noticed by the director of the college, who invited him to his room and suggested that he should seriously consider adopting the profession of a priest. At first, Stephen felt attracted to do so, but later he realized that he was not suited for this vocation. Once he was having a walk by the seashore, when he was invited by his friend to have a swim. As he entered the water, he saw a pretty girl ahead of him. He was fascinated by the sight, and it seemed that a new epoch had begun in his life. Now, chapter number 5. Although the family had become poorer than ever, Stephen was admitted to the university. Stephen had now flowered into a young man from an immature boy. He now meditated earnestly over the nature of art and beauty and formulated his own view of these. His formulations were greatly influenced by his favorite theologian, St. Thomas Aquinas. He maintained that whatever gave pleasure to the mind in its perception was beautiful. The artist had only one aim, and that was the creation of the beautiful. It was the productive arts alone which were concerned with the good and the useful. Great art must produce in the viewer a state of stasis and not of kinesis. Beauty can be adequately perceived only when wholeness, harmony, and clarity were preserved. Art is either lyrical, equal, or dramatic. So, this is the conception of his writing regarding to the subject of art. That is, art is not the presentation of life as it is. Means the true work of art is related with this aim, that he should portray before the audience some scripts that are very artistically made, that even a layman can understand while reading or while listening to them. Means the work of art, the truth of something is lies in the eye of beholder. It's a fact that everybody perception is different from another, but it's the duty of the artist to present his manuscript before the audience in such a way that his audience would assume that this manuscript or this writing has a deeper meaning in it. So the main point is to present art in artistically way, not the presentation of life as it is. Stephen and the church. Stephen has argument with his mother regarding the church when she asks him to the mass and communion at the time of Easter. He refuses to do so. Later he confides in his mentor Cranley about the whole incident. Cranley holds the view that since Stephen does not take religious ritual and ceremony seriously, he could easily participate in them to please his mother. Stephen's reply is that he respects religion and religious ritual even while he does not believe in them, and that is why he would not subscribe to them without believing in them, because a belief without conviction is dishonest. Means if someone is stressing you to believe what he or she is presenting before him or her, to believe on that very particular aims or ideas, if someone is pushing you and putting the stress in your mind and head, then this belief doesn't hold any fruitful objectives. But if you see something, if something happens in front of you, your eyes and your whole existence shivered by listening or by hearing or by understanding or by going through such an incident, and your whole existence and your whole perception of life would change through that very particular or somewhat small incident, then this perception would hold some meaning. But if someone is addressing you, then it doesn't hold any fruitful things in it. So Stephen holds the same opinion that belief without conviction is dishonest, because if you do not know about that very particular belief, and then you would start preaching and attending those very particular rituals, then this doesn't lie any fruitful meanings in it, and respectful to the very spirit of the religion and piety. In fact, his argument to include both home and country, declaring that he would serve nothing in which he does not believe wholeheartedly. वो कहते हैं ना, जहाँ चाह वहाँ राह, ठीक है ना, कि इंसान के लिए वही सब कुछ अच्छा है जहाँ उसका दिल लगता है, ठीक है. आप किसी को भी कन्विंस नहीं कर सकते किसी चीज़ के लिए भी कि आपके लिए वो काम करें, जब तक बजाते वो उस इंसान का दिल ना करे कि वो उस चीज़ को करे. आप किसी भी शख्स हो, हाँ, आप स्ट्रेस करके आप किसी तरीके से मनवा के तो मतलब काम करवा सकते हैं, लेकिन क्या है कि उस काम का कोई फ़ायदा नहीं है जो आप स्ट्रेस करवा रहे हैं, चाहे वो अपने बच्चों के साथ है, चाहे उनके फ्यूचर के साथ है, चाहे वो जिस चीज़ के साथ भी है. Stephen's diary. The novel closes with some entries from Stephen's diary. The entries describe his last meetings with his university friends. One entry informs us that he has told his mother that he cannot repent and come back to the church. He also has a meeting with his girlfriend, during which he is nervous and remote. The last entry has invocation to his mythical father, the legendary Daedalus, declaring Stephen's resolve to encounter the reality of experience and forge in the smithy of his soul the uncreated conscience of his race. He prays to Daedalus to stand in good stead. Hope so you people have understand fully whatever I have discussed up till here, and you enjoyed listening to my recordings of this novel, that is A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man by James Joyce. This is very important, and I repeat this novel and the novel name again and again, though it is important or unimportant, but literature in itself holds so many meanings that even if I want to ask my mind not to repeat such sentences or novel name or novelist or such thing, so I would go on repeating such things again and again, because my mind doesn't obey this thing, that those who had done something great in previous years and made our understanding very clear and things very visible. So my mind couldn't stop appreciating the work of such people. So just some more passages and you people would get freedom from this lecture of Stephen Dedalus. So first impression, this is actually the outline story of a portrait of the artist as a young man. If you people have the real novel of this original novel, then you people would read them, and at the end, inshallah, I would discuss the difficult meaning with its pronunciation of words and their meanings as well. Inshallah, I would like to discuss at the end. When I would finish this novel, then I would discuss them in the end. Okay, a portrait of the artist as a young man, outline story. Chapter 1. First impressions. The opening of the novel records the earliest impression of a young child. These impressions are reproduced in a language which carries associations of disordered experience and the primary of external impressions, a characteristic of the child mind. The child remembers with particular sharpness and sounds, smells, colors, and noises. Some incidents of his very young life pass fleetingly before us. There is the incident in which the child Stephen Dedalus hears about a moo-cow. There is another incident of the child recollecting how he once wetted his bed, and still another of his mother singing to him. Appears that the boy has reached a stage where he has become barely possible for him to order and evaluate some of these experiences. The Dedalus family. The Dedalus family is then introduced. There is Simon Dedalus, the father of the hero. There is mother, May Dedalus. There are relatives including Uncle Charles and Mrs. Riordan. There is also a mention of a girl Stephen wants to marry named Eileen Vance. Stephen's school experience. Stephen's first school experience left a deep impression on his mind. He was at a boys' boarding school named Clongowes. You people know. Okay, Stephenwood College. Stephens remember how he bade farewell to his family when he left for the school for the first time. He remembers the playgrounds where he played a game of ball. He also calls the library of the school and the evening prayers there. He remembers how he was pushed into a ditch of dirty water by a rude classmate named Wells and how he caught cold as a result of this. He was sent to the school infirmary and put under the charge of Brother Michael. There he met the son of a racehorse owner named Ethy. Stephen is very much depressed and frightened and begins to have fears that he is about to die. His only solace is the thought that if he died prematurely, the offender's wells would be filled with remorse and suffer. Stephen is almost in a state of delirium and remembers the story of a ghost told to him by some old servants. The Christmas dinner. Stephen remembers very vividly one Christmas which he spent at home with his parents. Stephen had grown up, and it was for the first time that he was allowed to sit at table with the grown-ups. At the dinner, an argument cropped up about politics. The debate grew violent. Stephen's mother tried her best to quieten tempers and restore order, but in vain. The result was that the dinner was spoiled, and the incident left nothing but unpleasant memory in the mind of the child. The main subject of the discussion had been the Irish patriot Parnell, whose death had recently occurred. One of the guests, Mr. Casey, was a staunch supporter of Parnell, and he got much support for his view that Parnell had been treated shabbily by the Irish Catholic Church. The reason why the church has denounced him was that he had taken a mistress. Mrs. Riordan was a supporter of the Catholic Church, and she was so much enraged at criticism. It seems that religion is very important in every culture. So before saying anything about someone's culture or someone's religion, you people think 1,000 times before saying or uttering words, because you are one saying which goes against the other people, then such people at that very particular time some mishappening may occur that would spoil your whole gathering. वो कहते हैं ना कि एक छोटी सी चिंगारी पूरे मतलब जो है ना हर तरफ आग लगा देती है, ठीक है। तो आप भी जो है ना बोलने से पहले, बिफोर स्पीकिंग एनीथिंग, बिफोर अटरिंग अ सिंगल वर्ड, यू पीपल, आई रिक्वेस्ट फ्रॉम ऑल ऑफ यू who are listening to me, I request from all of you to think before you speak. So with the hope that you people are enjoying up till now and bearing with the full patience, I would request repeatedly from all of you to like and subscribe my channel and give me more confidence that I would discuss and come with some new points, with some new novels, some new information that is very crucial not only for your different exams, but this is also very important for qualifying any interview wherever you are applying till now, it's very important to have some basic knowledge about L2, that is our English language communication and writing skills as well. So Eileen recalls the girl Eileen. Once she had taken her ivory colored. There are some spelling mistakes that are maybe committed while turning them in text or type words. There occurred some of the spelling mistakes. So I feel apologize for this, but you people go on listening to me to avoid such kind of mistakes. So colored hand in his own and put it in his pocket. They were then playing together. He had dissuaded from playing with her because she was a Protestant, but he somehow connected her with the Virgin Mary, and phrases used by the Catholics to describe Virgin Mary got connected with Eileen in the mind of Stephen. Punishment at school. Stephen remembered keenly how he was once unjustly punished at school by one of the teachers. He had been excused from studies because his spectacles had got broken. Although Stephen explained all this to the teacher, Father Dolan, he laughed at his words as an excuse and caned him in front of the boys. Stephen felt greatly humiliated. Stephen was persuaded by the other boy to report the incident to the rector, which he did. But the rector took that whole thing rather casually and dismissed Stephen with some empty words of comfort. Now this is enough for today's lecture. So I hope that you people have listened throughout me, and Stay tuned up till the end with heavy hearts. Okay, last but not least, I am again requesting from all people that to subscribe my channel and like my videos as well. I will pray from God Almighty to keep all of you safe and sound and very well, with the hope that you people will enjoy sound sleep and sound health and sound all the facilities of this world. I am going to say Allah Hafiz, goodbye, see you in the next video. God bless you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to my YouTube channel.